Hola familia, how is everything going? I am back. It has been a minute, I know. For the ones that don't know me, welcome to my channel. My name is Denise, and on this channel what I like to do is share a little bit more about my personal journey, personal stories. I run a consultancy firm called SaaSlaunch.io where we help tech startups with fundraising, specifically in the pre-seed, seed, and Series A stages. But on this channel, I'd like to actually, talk a little bit more about just my personal lessons and a little bit more on my journey moving forward. So welcome back. I wanted to give a little bit of an update actually to where I've been, because it has been a little bit of an hiatus, to be very honest. And also I wanted to actually share two lessons which hopefully adds value to you, because it has been a very transitional year for me personally. And I've learned many lessons, to be very honest, but I'm just going to keep it short for this video. And along the lines, I'll share the other lessons that I've learned. So just to first give a little bit of an update to where I'm at. So I'm currently on my island called Curacao. For the ones that don't know, we make Blue Curacao, basically. So if you've heard of Blue Curacao, that's the island that I'm from. I was born and raised here till my 16th, and then I moved to the Netherlands and obviously other countries that I've lived in. But Curacao, for the ones that don't know, is a very small island in the Caribbean. It's part of the Dutch kingdom. And fun fact, we generally speak four languages, which is Dutch, English, Papiamento, which is a Creole language mixed with Portuguese, Spanish, and other languages, also Spanish. So I'm here and it's great to be, back with family, but also kind of ground myself, because over the past couple of months, there has been a lot of transitioning happening. Our transitions happened. I had to focus on certain family challenges as well, personal challenges. And then also, obviously, by growing a business, you need to focus on growing the business. But if there's also other things happening, then, it kind of this, I guess, balances you or unbalances you. That's actually the right word. And this is where I needed to kind of come to my island, ground myself, focus back on me. And yeah, it's been a very great, first of all, experience, but also it's so important for me to come back to me, because I've been focusing a lot on the external, the business, my personal life, family, and all other aspects. And to be honest, it took a lot of energy and a lot of, I guess, bandwidth. And this is where I needed to actually come back, ground, and focus back on, what are the next steps that I want to do in my life. So that being said, over the past couple of months, I have been just in a transition phase, personally, specifically, spiritually. For the ones that don't know, spirituality for me is super important. That's kind of my number one and my core that keeps me grounded, right? So focusing on kind of getting back to what is important for me in my life. Yes, spirituality. And then from there, okay, what are the next steps that I want to take in my life? Now, going into the lessons that I've learned, and I've learned many lessons over the past couple of months / year. We're almost in December, which is it's very fascinating because the year went by so quickly. I really remember that, we started in January. We're now almost in December. So one of the lessons that I've learned over the past couple of months is that sometimes, personally, and I'm gonna focus this on me, I have a tendency to be a little bit of a control freak when it comes to my business. And I think probably there's many entrepreneurs that probably have the same thing. One of the things that I've had to learn is to, instead of being very controlling and wanting to do a lot, being in masculine energy, which means basically doing that type of, let's say, energy, I also needed to balance my feminine energy in that. And feminine energy is more towards being, observing, flowing, right? And because wanting to be kind of in control of everything in the business, it was hard for me to kind of sometimes let go, observe, and just let things flow. And that's something that I've had to learn over the past couple of months. So this is not something in just a short period of time. I really had to, and I'm still in that transition, to balance more of that masculine energy in doing, with the feminine energy of flowing, being, observing. That transition was a bit challenging for me because, again, if you want to always have things perfect, then you're always wanting to be in control. But once I actually started kind of like letting go, letting it flow, trusting more in God and the universe, in things happening for me, basically, then I saw just shifts happening. One example is that I received like an unexpected proposal for a business trip to Aruba of a few days. Yeah, this was not planned, it just came. And that was because of kind of like doing the work in trying to focus more on feminine energy instead of masculine energy in doing. That was super great because next to working on Aruba, it was also, I haven't been there in years. And it was great to kind of like on the last day connect with kind of like not only the culture, but like really doing a tour and seeing kind of like the differences. And it was just cool. It was very cool. And that was like one of the things that have happened because of like that shift from being in a lot of masculine energy and going into feminine energy. That's one thing. And I'm still in that transition to, work on that. The second lesson that I learned is that sometimes we are our own blocks in life. And I'm going to explain. So over the past couple of months, I felt a certain friction with myself. Friction meaning certain things in the business weren't going as I wanted to. And I felt just frustrated because I was like, okay, I want this and that and it's not happening. And you're trying different things and it's still not going. And so I thought, okay, what's happening here? So I felt that for some reason, God, the universe was telling me, Denise, you need to, for the next step for you to grow, you need to become more visible. Visible meaning doing more content, being more on camera, for example, things like that. And for me, that was a real point of friction because I'm working on a few aspects of kind of like my confidence, my self-worth, thanks to my therapist, Sunny. Shout out to her. I have been working a lot on that and that part, and that has to do with, your inner child and all that stuff. But not to go too much into that, basically, I needed to focus more on those aspects, which are going to propel me into being more confident and more visible, if that makes any sense. Which is maybe a little bit of a contradiction because I've done, I'm a speaker, I've done speaking engagements, etc. But there's still something in me that is always kind of like going back into that, I guess, insecure part. And I think that was where that friction came in for me. And basically, God, the universe was telling me, Denise, for the next step, you need to really be visible. You need to grow. You need to step into that role, what we're actually, showing you. And it might seem or sound esoterical, but for me, that was what I felt that was happening. It's like, you're growing and this is the next step that we're showing you that you need to grow into, but you're the one, so I was the one hesitating to step into that role because I was like, am I good enough? Am I, like, the imposter syndrome comes in and then the insecurities come in because it's kind of like, okay, you're getting into the next level. And because I was doubting myself and I didn't want to step into that role, that friction was consistently happening. Like things were not like flowing. And I was like, okay, like I basically said, I prayed. I was saying, God, okay, if you want me to step into this role or step into the next part of growth, then I'm going to do it. And then I decided to do that. And then from there, and it's going to sound maybe strange, but from there, things started flowing so much easier. And the block actually for that growth was me. Like I did not want to basically jump into the pool. That's basically it. I didn't want to jump into the cold water, basically, because I was like, oh my God, can I do this? I'm doubting myself, etc. And then God is basically giving me kind of like the pathway. Like, this is where we need you to be. And you're the one that is not actually jumping in. Yes, it can be cold. Yes, it can be uncomfortable. But this is basically where we need you to go to the next step. So once I actually kind of just accepted that fact and said, okay, cool. If this is what you want me to do, I'll do it. Jumping in, things just flowed. And the block was just me being, I guess, being in my insecurities and everything else. That was also a huge lesson for me in, okay, the friction is not always from the outside. The friction is sometimes us, ourselves. not wanting to do what we're feeling or intuitively or being shifted in doing, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it's been incredible. Honestly, it's been incredible growth, specifically this year. And I'm sure there's going to be so much more. And I'm sure there's always going to be things that, are uncomfortable, but that's where the growth is, right? When it's uncomfortable, that's where that next step of growth is. So those are the two lessons that I actually wanted to share with you, and hopefully it's something that, helps you in your path further. And I'll be sharing more of these lessons along the way. And I just want to say thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next video.